Hello, my name is Gary Brown. I'm Communications Director with the Philadelphia Department of Behavioral Health and Intellectual Disability Services. And I'm also the Executive Editor of Expressions and Recovery. Here with me is Gil Gadson. Gil is a certified peer specialist, and he's also the editor of Expressions and Recovery. And I have to say up front that it's been a pleasure, Gil, working with you on this publication, and it means a lot to me personally, and I'm sure it means a lot to people in recovery what you do for this publication. So Gil, let's start out with telling folks, what is Expressions in Recovery and what's its aim?
Well, Expressions in Recovery is a magazine by people in recovery, for people in recovery. It's actually a showcase for people in recovery. Two of the most important factors of people when they first come into recovery is self-esteem issues and stigmas and things of that nature. Also, one of the basic tools of recovery is sharing. So through this magazine, we're able to do both. You know, through people being exhibited and showing what they can do, who they are, that takes away a lot of the stigma and increases the self-esteem. And they're able to share their story, and that's a tool, because so many of us feel like, you know, when we have a problem, we're the only one that it's so unique. But I guarantee you, somewhere along the line, as you read these magazines, you'll read your story.
That's wonderful. Man, there's some good stories in it that you dig out.
Absolutely.
Gil mines for stories. He goes out and talks to people and spends time and helps them craft their personal stories. And it's a real talent that you have for doing that, Gil.
Thank you. I had a good teacher.
Talk about the sections and the expressions. Tell folks what they.
Well, first of all, each cover, I guarantee you, will be striking. It will grab your attention. Each cover was crafted in a way where there's a front cover quote. You know, besides the graphics, there's a front cover quote on each cover, which actually gives you the theme of what each particular publication is going to be about. Once you open it, there's a greeting from the editor, which is me, and then the first actual section is the here and now section. And that would be equivalent as if I just saw you on the street and I bumped into you and like, hey Gary, how you doing, man? How you feeling, man? And you just told me how you felt here, right now, in real time, what's going on in your life immediately. So there's short excerpts in the here and now section of people's real time, what's going on in their life right now, in recovery, where they're headed, what they're doing, but short. The next section are featured stories, where they're more full length, more in depth, pretty much complete stories, relatively speaking, that are condensed, but they're pretty much complete stories. The next section after that is prose and poetry, and that's where people get to really exhibit who they are, what they really feel inside, their talents, and they get to really show off a little bit. The last section, which is always on the last page and or the back, is it's like an enclosing. And it's called the last word. We sometimes, which I do, you know, I'm the editor, but we do have guest editors who sometimes do the last word and have done the last word. And that's pretty much for the magazine. Those are pretty much the sections of it.
There you go. I know it's tough for you to give up the last word.
Oh yeah, it's real tough.
Yeah. I just want to add before we move on, it's a pleasure. I serve as executive editor of Expressions with Gil, and we work closely together, and it's really been a pleasure putting this publication together with Gil. Gil is an inspiring individual, and he's really passionate about putting this publication together, and it's just a pleasure working with you, Gil.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much, and likewise, ditto.
Yep. I got you.
Thank you.
So talk about the first 6 issues.
Well, the first 2 issues, the first issue, people were very eager to talk about their addictions. There's a lot of pain in recovery, period, be it substance abuse and mental health. And the first issue, I got a lot of people that really wanted to talk, you know, immediately about their addictions and substance abuse, but there's 2 sides to recovery, and it's the physical aspect and it's the mental aspect. So in issue number 2, we got into the mental aspect of it, what's really going through a person's mind when they're going through the changes they're going through. By the 3rd issue, we had to relate how it affected other people and the interactions amongst other people. That led us to issue number 4. Which issue number 4 was purely devoted to people who never had a substance and or a mental health issue, but they wanted to relate the stories, the things they've learned. You know, for instance, you had one woman who had came outside on her porch one day, and this strange woman from the neighborhood was sitting on her stoop. Her first thought was to tell her, you know, get off my property. But the woman was crying, and she was crying in a way that saw she was really hurting from inside. And as this woman just started talking about what she was going through, the owner of the property realized, had I gone through any of that, I may not have survived. Long story short, to this day, those 2 people are the best of friends. And this woman learned what recovery is about and some of the pain. Issue number 5 dealt with that actual moment in recovery. It was called the turning point. And it dealt with that real moment when you knew your life was going to change. You knew you never were going back. You knew you were done. For some people it was traumatic, for others it was revealing, for some it was a spiritual awakening. You know, it's varied reasons, but that real moment, you know, not the foxhole moments.
Yeah.
You know, because people have many of those, but that real moment, issue number 6.
Before we move on to 6, I got to tell you, issue number 5 was probably one of my favorite issues. And
Really?
yeah, I remember one story about the person who was attempting to call the drug dealer.
Yeah.
And it was the same, he had the same name.
Same name.
As the guy in the program that I was
Yes.
trying to get him into, and he accidentally called.
Yes.
And he accidentally called the person in
Director.
the program.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 And that's what got him in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was wonderful. So, so issue number 6.
Issue number 6, we dealt with the homeless. You know, I remember at that time there was a lot going on in the city where people that were homeless, they were trying to, you know, obtain a lot of services. There's a lot of misconceptions about people who are homeless. A lot of people see them as lost people. They see them as people who have given up on themselves. And they really don't know the stories. You have a lot of people that are homeless that were Wall Street bankers. You have some people who still actually own property and have material possessions, but for whatever reason, they're disillusioned as to where they want to go in their life, or they've lost hope. So what issue number 6 did, it portrayed them in real time. I actually interviewed homeless people, or people who had recently been homeless, or people who had been homeless. And I think that's the unique thing about Expressions in Recovery. We're actually talking to the people. It's not about opinions. It's in real time from real people about their real lives.
Wonderful.
Yes.
And we've just put out the 7th issue. Why don't you tell folks about the 7th issue?
Well, issue number 7 was a, no pun intended, labor of love. It's about love. Because ultimately, what we find, once you become happy with yourself, the direction your life is going, you know, I can say for young people, myself, sometimes you look back and you think of some of your mentors and some of the elderly people and older people who are trying to tell you things that you would never listen to. Now some of those thoughts are ringing in your head. You develop a new appreciation for them. Once you regain, I don't like to use the word normal, because who's to state what that is?
That's right.
But once you get on some level playing field in terms of society, and you become, you know, more of an addition as to a burden, and you're able to function, and the happiness starts to set in, and the confidence within yourself, you start looking at things to a different light, and ultimately love develops. It can be love of a child. It can be, you know, it's not lust anymore. It's real intimacy. It can be the love of your job and what you do, and a real passion develops. So this issue is devoted to love in all its aspects. You know,
that's wonderful.
The ultimate objective. You know, once we've gotten secure, we've gotten right. Now you want to share this with someone or something, and that's one of the ultimate, I would say, things that culminate. It's some form of love that you develop.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, Gil, tell me, as a person in recovery, what does this publication mean to you personally as an individual? You know, the whole process of doing the publication. What does it mean to you as a person?
I can say with no pretense, and honestly, it's been the best thing I've absolutely ever done. For the simple fact that when you get to really share other human beings' stories, you gain such insight, you gain patience, you gain humility, and it becomes almost a hunger. You know what I mean? To share these things. I actually, you know, and I hope I'm not jumping the gun, a lot of times we do have a mailing list. You can get it online, but I like to personally go and deliver it to different facilities who want these publications, because I like to put the personal touch on it, and so they can see that it's really people who care and that they're really getting out there. What it's done for me, it keeps me grounded, and it keeps me grounded in real time. It keeps me humble, and it keeps reawakening me, so to speak, for lack of a better word. It just keeps, I think that's exactly what I want to say. It's like a reawakening, because each time I see someone tell some of the most intimate, most profound things coming straight from the soul, like, it's not a made-up story, it's not fiction, it's real. And that means I'm being trusted, even just for that second and that moment, so I'm becoming a part. And vicariously, I get to feel, see, live, and taste what some others have.
That's wonderful. Anything else you want to add, Gil?
I encourage any and everyone to My email address is gilbert100@live.com. You can get in touch with me. There's a number, 267-304-6816. And feel free to contact me at any time. Anyone who has any contributions, feel free. And I invite all to try to get some editions of Expressions in Recovery. I guarantee you will not be disappointed.
Thanks, Gil.
Thank you.
I have to say, working with you has touched my life, and it just means a lot to be able to continue to put this together with you. And I just appreciate, what you bring to people in recovery and myself. I just want to thank you for that.
I appreciate that. I'm going to blush on camera.
Yeah, that's
Not a problem. Thank you.
So that includes our segment on Expressions in Recovery. And again, we encourage you to read. All 6 issues are available online. Enjoy. They're for you. By and for people in recovery. Thank you.